where they don't regroup. That I think is a tough one.
Yes,
the police
it's
chief
definitely dispersed.
Yeah. Police chief saying tonight that one officer was injured by someone with a baseball bat. That person came up and hit the officer on the head, and had he not had his helmet on, that could have been a very serious injury. In addition, we have a number of police officers who have suffered from heat exhaustion. You can only imagine how much gear they have on tonight. And in the course of doing their work, there were some that suffered heat exhaustion, some treated, and then a couple of them also taken to a hospital for heat exhaustion. So serious situations there for some officers. Jim Spiewak back with us now, and more from his vantage point. Jim.
Okay, so Brian, we're just, 30, 40 yards or so from 5th South. Again, we started on 4th South here on 2nd East. They have been making their push and making their move. So I'm about halfway between the South and the front of the police line, as we'll go ahead and we'll kind of give you another vantage point of what we're seeing. As got a guy on a motorcycle there revving it up a little bit. But the protesters now have moved away from the police line. I mean, this is the first time I've really seen them, maybe 20 or so feet away from the actual police line, minus maybe 1 or 2 protesters that are still up there. So let's go ahead and kind of give a shot of, you've got one protester up there with his hand up holding a sign. I mean, it's one protester against the police line. Hey, Nick, if we could go ahead and show us one protester right here, against the police line. That is the scene out here right now. As people are quiet, and I think people are just sort of anticipating what the next move is going to be and who's going to make it. So I'm hearing some protesters say strength in numbers, regroup. So they're saying fall back, regroup, strength in numbers. That's coming from a protester right there. As you've got the one single protester at the front of the line there. And police have been in this spot now for a few minutes, so they could be making their next move here at any moment. Again, Brian, we were talking about how we've seen this tactic before. It has been effective here tonight in terms of moving them away from where they want to move the crowd from. And you've got this one specific protester out here. Now, if you're just joining us, I also want to set the scene and share with you that maybe 50 yards back, things got really, really tense there for a little while. There was, every time police would move forward, protesters were right up against the shields. And I don't know if you want to call it a scuffle, but police would use their numbers to move the protesters. And I will say this now at this point, there are more police officers out here than protesters, at least in the immediate area of where we are standing. We're probably 70, 80 yards from 5th South right now is where we're standing. And so it's kind of dispersed out. Protesters are dispersing out.
There goes that skater with the lights.
I did just hear someone say, regroup, strength in numbers. So anyway, that's what we're doing.
Hey, Jim. Okay, so on this side of things, we're coming up on 500 South. We're still on 200 East. And I'd like to show you that this is the main police line here, but we're starting to see some officers come in from the sides as well in front of the museum. So we're assuming that they might be getting in place to kind of push the crowds further in a certain direction. So we're just kind of hanging back here because they might be coming to, kind of thin the crowd out this way as well. We're just standing by to watch that. But for the most part, you can still see there are some of those demonstrators hanging out in the middle of the street with their hands up. The police have continued to say, go home. This is unlawful, but people have not left. I have seen more and more people coming up. You can see here they're kind of inching their way closer to us on this side as well. And it looks like we got some more officers coming to join them. So it looks like they might be kind of trying to corral the demonstrators from at least these two sides. Now, I don't know what's happening on the other side of the park, of course. But we have more people coming up to us. Thank you. gentleman here cleaning up trash here, but we have seen a number of people come up to us with their injuries from those rubber bullets. All right, I'll send it back to you, Jen.
There wasn't.
There's the guy that got shot with the rubber bullet.
Gentleman, obviously you can see right here on his chest, he's got 3 wounds right there. Tell me what happened, sir.
So contrary to what's being said over the megaphone, that the protesters had made this a non-peaceful protest, I received these 3 shots while linking arms with other peaceful protesters. I never threw a punch. I never said a negative word, and they opened fire on me. So the narrative we're being given,
That's not
of
good.
just doing their job, is wrong.
Sir, let me ask you this. Obviously, you're out here for a reason. You're out here to send a message, I'd have to presume. Is that correct?
Yes.
The fact that we are past the 8 o'clock curfew, where do you stand on that?
The 8 o'clock curfew was made specifically so that they could use force against people who are protesting civilly. The 8 o'clock curfew would not have been put in place if it were not so they had a justification to harass and, in my case, shoot the protesters who are just trying to keep people from being killed in the streets.
Now, are you saying you're big peace night?
I've been peace all night.
Those that might say, well, if you left at 8 o'clock, you wouldn't have gotten shot, you say what?
I say that you can't be exercising your rights and then have an arbitrary law put in place just in time to allow police force through legislation and technicalities and loopholes. That was put in place not to protect us. It's put in place to be able to arrest people for no reason.
Are you going to stay out here now even though the curfew's in effect?
We'll see. If I get shot too many more times, it would be through the use of more force on me, a peaceful protester, that would make me leave. It wouldn't be of my own volition.
Okay, so there you have it right there from a protester who is claiming that he was holding hand in hand with other protesters, did get hit, he said, by those non-lethal projectiles from police. Again, that's coming from him. We did not witness that, but looking at his chest right there, you can see definitely something did happen. But, we questioned him about the fact that he was out past the 8 o'clock curfew. There was a curfew that was set. That was mentioned at about 6:15, 6:30. You heard his response to the fact of why he was still out here past the 8 o'clock curfew. He gave his answer right there. And so police are continuing to make their push here on 2nd East up to 5th South. I would say that we're probably now maybe 50 yards away. The police line is from 5th South. Kelly?
All right, Jim, as we anticipated happening, more police have kind of joined in on the side of the protest, and now they're blocking the street on, they're blocking 200 East there to kind of corral it and keep it more contained to this street. You can see the presence, at least on our side, has really increased. Now these officers are packed in, at least on, over there, it's lighter, but over here towards this way, they're packed in more, and they're just continuing to repeat their message, go home. And these demonstrators here in the front have basically told them that they're not going to. And it's been kind of the same scene playing out. So they keep pushing us further and further down the block. And actually, if we can look behind us, there's a lot of demonstrators that are already hanging way back on the other side of this intersection. So I'm assuming that as this keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, they'll join in with them because the road has been blocked on that side. So there's no worry about really drivers getting into the mix with all of these pedestrians that are currently in the middle of 200 East. But just as I mentioned, now we've got, it was initially just one long straight line of officers kind of pushing people down the street. And now, it's kind of become like a semicircle and just really corralling people towards this way. And people have just continued to tell us that they're not going anywhere. And they want their message to be heard, and police also just continuing their message that it's not lawful at this point.
No,
that
it's
they
not.
need to go home. Sorry,
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock plus,
Exactly,
9:34 right now. So the curfew in effect, and that means, according to police, that it is unlawful to be on the street.
Okay, they're pushing.
Moving again.
Oh, it looks like they're pushing us. Yeah, they're way tight over there. It looks like they're pushing us towards the middle. And some demonstrators getting right up in their face as they continue to push us back. But I have noticed less rubber bullets being fired. It seems like everyone kind of knows the drill at this point. And we're just going to keep doing this over and over.
Okay, I'm just gonna film a little bit. I gotta turn it down some because it's 10 o'clock now. So I'm gonna turn it down a little bit.
Really
so I don't bother anybody and my neighbors.
Most people seem to be kind of pushed over to this side. They're continuing to shove people back. Let's come over this way, Becky. Hold, the police are saying hold. So this stretch of officers goes all the way across, all the way into the park.
There's Antifa.
Over there's a really long line, and I'm assuming that's probably more to the side where Jim's been.
Yep, definitely Antifa's there.
It looks like people aren't, tired. Some people have been out here all day long, and they're planning on sticking it out. But the police have dispersed the crowd. It's not as concentrated. It's more spread out all through the streets. So
People always asking about that, so just
that's been accomplished here, but
letting you know that.
again, it looks like that the number of officers is growing in the police line, and then behind us, more people just hanging around, watching it, waiting to see what happens.
And then we were expecting
circling all of the demonstrators.
Yeah, National Guard expected as well, according to the police chief. We thought some of them were already on the ground, but apparently those may have been police officers in SWAT gear. National Guard coming tonight. Chief says he'll be briefed. They'll be briefed, and then.
Okay, I'm gonna upload and sit down for a little bit and relax, and then I'll come back on if anything important comes on.
We are here on the corner of State Street and Broadway, 3rd South, and we have been pushed all the way back here. You can see this line of officers. They have pushed us around the corner. We started over on 2nd East.
Looks like they're backing them into somewhere. Have a good night. I'll be back if I need to.